Welcome back to Action 2 News at 5. Democrats hoping to flip Wisconsin's 8th congressional district, leaning hard on life stories from the battlefield to the bandstand to the classroom.
Those three challengers, whoever wins tonight's primary, will take on Republican incumbent Tony Wied in November. Our Mary Piacenti joins us now live in Green Bay with more on the field. Mary?
We're here at Titletown Brewing Company, where Rick Crossan is going to be having his primary watch party starting at 6 p.m. But like you guys mentioned, he's not the only Democrat vying for this nomination. He's facing off against Katrina DeVille and Mark Scheffler, both of whom will be having watch parties in Appleton later this evening. This is going to be a tough race for any of these candidates, though, after tonight. A Democrat hasn't won this congressional seat since 2008. And on top of that, they're going up against incumbent Tony Wied. But the main thing that these candidates differ on is the Democratic Party itself. Crossan says he's an insider and he wants to help rebuild the party from within. Scheffler considers himself more of a progressive independent, and he thinks that the Dems should be more willing to welcome in conservatives who want to get away from the Trump administration. And DeVille, she's a Democratic socialist, and she thinks there's really no left party in America as of right now. But some things all of these candidates agree on is the fact that there should be a tax on billionaires, universal federally funded childcare, and free 4-year college tuition. The doors just opened for the watch party, and not many people have come trickling in yet, but we will be here all night giving you coverage as results get updated. But for now, reporting live in Green Bay, Mary Piacenti, Action 2 News.
Mary, thank you. And joining us now live from the Fox Valley newsroom, Samantha Cavalli spoke with the Republican incumbent Tony Wied this afternoon and has details on that. Samantha.
Right, Cammie, after my conversation with the congressman, he says that he's not sure who he wants to go up against just yet, but he does welcome a challenge and is ready to defend his seat in office. Now, Tony Wied is unopposed in today's Republican primary, like mentioned, but the incumbent congressman says that he's focused already on November and he'll face the winner of a three-way Democratic race. Wied seeking another 2 years in Washington after winning the 8th congressional district seat in 2024. As he makes his case for the second time now, he says he'll call on what he's accomplished in office, including tax cuts, border security, farm policy, and $12.4 million in infrastructure funding for Northeast Wisconsin.
I think people are very excited about the way the economy is going. I mean, we had some of the largest tax cuts for working families in American history. We delivered. I mean, whether that's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. We had the largest deduction in taxes for Social Security for those that are on Social Security, senior citizens and so forth.
Wied also criticized the Democratic Party's policy direction, saying that whoever wins tonight's primary will have to explain their positions to voters ahead of November. Tonight, though, he's spending time with family before turning his full attention to the November election. Reporting live in the Fox Valley newsroom, Samantha Cavalli, Action 2 News.